if you recruited a top tier talent and they're underperforming, i.e. Russell Wilson, how long before you're cutting ties? Let's go with CJ first.
Yeah, I think you fire fast. I think you fire quickly. Hire slow, fire fast. It's the old saying, right? Like at the end of the day, it looks to me like this. It's easy to create top talent if you got proper systems training and you have them people in the right environment. You know, is top talent special? Sure. But let's look at Jordan Poole's new contract with the Warriors, right? Like that's farm system talent that's been drafted, been brought in and groomed and brought up. I don't think that's difficult to do in your business. I think you can create top talent with training dedication. If you look at these Fortune 500 companies, what do they do as soon as they bring you in? They bring you into highly intensive training and they have consistent ongoing training at all times. And they create their own top talent within the organization. So I'd get them fired, man, and build somebody else up.
Okay. All right. Steve Trang, you were second place last round. What do you think?
We have to emphasize that second place. Anyway, we were talking about in the context of like, you know, if you traded for somebody, right? Or you had like a long-term contract, what do you do in that situation? Because I think it's a tougher situation. If you had to trade away assets, you had to sign them to a long-term commitment, you have a signing bonus, this and that. So in that scenario, though, you still got to let them go, right? Like it's a sunk cost, right? If you spend a bunch of money to recruit this talent, you went through all this effort, wine and dine and whatever, and they bomb, you can't have them around. You know, they're either it's going to be a situation where they're not providing enough output, or you're letting the rest of the team know that you tolerate mediocrity or sub-mediocre performance, and that hurts the team even more. So you got to let them go.
Okay. Jimmy, your thoughts?
I'd say 2 quarters. If they're messing with team chemistry, if they're not a core value fit, immediately fire. But I give them 2 quarters. I give them their first quarter to, hey, clearly you're not hitting your targets. You got 90 more days to square it away. But, you know, your first 90 days in any organization, you're not really hired. It's like a testing ground. And so if they're clearly not hitting at 90 days, it's a strike one conversation saying, hey, here's what we brought you on to do. Clearly not doing this. What can we as a team help you to do that? And then I guess if it's at quarter 2 and they're still not hitting, time to start over.
Okay. And let's bring it on over to Leon G. Barnes. Your thoughts?
If we're answering this question from a corporate perspective, and you've got to have a verbal notice and a first written and a second notice before a final notice, it's a longer period of time. But if we're talking to most real estate investors that watch this show that may have a team of 1 to 20 employees, if you are recruiting high level talent, which I encourage you to be doing during this downturn, now is a time where you can find some really good employees. You'll find them even more so in Q1 and Q2 as the bottom starts to drop out and people are laying more talented people off. But I am a firm believer, having managed for a very long time, that within a 90-day time frame with these 2 things, training and proper onboarding, say that again, proper training and proper onboarding, that within 90 days, no matter who you bring in, how talented they are, you will know, if we're talking about from a real estate investing perspective as a business owner, you'll know within a 90-day time frame.
Okay.
And then, Leon, don't you think you need the next 90 days to be building your bench and hiring again? Because I hate it when you have that void.
I agree with you that, Jimmy, that yes, it would be nice to have that extra time. But I think if we're advising, we're talking to most owners that watch days fast, usually Westbrook contract that you're stuck with because that's a guaranteed contract. We're talking about an at-will employee. 90 days, you should know whether they're the level of person. And we said, here's the key word, recruited talent, not entry-level employee, recruited talent. You'll know within a 90-day time frame if that's a six-figure level individual.
Get after him.
Yeah,
man.
and I would be taking a deep dive into my business, being like, why can't this high performer perform in my systems and processes? Like, I'd probably be a good learning exercise of what are you not doing right?
Or they sold you on how great they were and they weren't.
Yeah. The best, the people that interview the best turn out to be the worst employees. Jimmy, when he said 2 quarters, cut Russell Wilson 2 quarters. Like, this guy is savage.
Jimmy is that. I think one thing to point out too, for me personally, in my own journey, and what I see in a lot of other people as well, generally it's just fear that causes you not to fire, right? Fear of retaliation, fear of reputation, fear of loss of revenue, fear of being unable to replace. And so you get stuck in this vortex of trying to work with somebody, trying to get somebody on the same page, and yada, yada, yada. I think getting somebody out the door is just really critical, because look, if I need somebody to learn sales, I'll send them to Steve. If I need somebody on my team to learn how to properly pitch and evaluate and facilitate a turnkey rental opportunity, maybe I'll send them to Jimmy, right? Like, you got to be able to move people in the right way to get them to where it is that you need them to go. And you got to get people out the door quick.
And I think if you address that from the beginning, look, I'm going to give you every resource, all the training that you need. If I give you all of these things, we will both know if this is the right fit in the first 3 months. And if it isn't, then it's not on me, it's not on you, it's just not the right fit. If you set the proper expectations, especially with recruited talent, I'm not going to allow you to I heard someone say this, it may have been Charles Barkley. I'm not paying you for what you used to do. I'm paying you for what you're doing right now, right? And if I'm giving you all the resources, I need today performance, not past performance.
Okay. All right. The voting is open right now. Currently in the lead is CJ, but Jimmy is right behind him. He's right behind him. He's on his tail. So we'll give a few minutes.
Well, and then also,
ahead,
if you're new to this hiring game, you got to set that other expectation that, hey, these first 90 days are a trial period, that you like us and we like you. And then we're definitely going to review this in 90 days.
Yeah. I think too, right? Like when I was a kid and they bring you into the principal's office and then they're telling you each week, like, hey, you did this, like it's on paper. Right. And so then 3 months later, when they say, hey, CJ, look, like we gotta put you out for a week at least, bro. Right. Like I'm not shocked at that point. Like I got the paper going home for 4 weeks prior to that. Like I know I was messing up. So I think it's the accountability piece that means something as well.
It's one of the hardest things for most business owners to do.
Yeah. And then I love the new age, keeping people accountable. All you do is say, hey, why are you here? What do you want? And then you write that down. And then you say, if they're not hitting it, you'd be like, hey, remember when you told me you wanted this? Do you still want this? Like, you're not doing what you need to do to get there. Like, what can I do to help you? And then you're right, CJ, like 4 conversations like that, like the person will start looking.
Right. No doubt.
Like, you're not going to have to fire them. But I love holding people accountable like that.
You don't have to fire if you set proper expectations. You talk them out of the job more often than they quit.
Yeah. I'm not seeing a lot of questions here in the chat, so we still need a 6th question. Hopefully the audience is paying attention here.
We do have a 6th question, and we did have some questions submitted earlier in the chat. So thank you for everybody who was submitting questions. We do see those. We potentially will use some of those questions on the next program as well. So thank you for everybody who was submitting questions. Please continue to do so. We are waiting on the voting for this last question to announce a winner. And then we will continue. So, yeah, my fault if anybody had any other closing statements that they wanted to make. Sounds like we're good.
Well, I mean, cut Russell Wilson, cut Russell Westbrook. Just get rid of all of them.
Come on.
Oh, there was
listen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Listen, Russell Westbrook, Russell Wilson, just call me LeBron of the game, man. That's all you got to
Stop.
do. All right.
Talk's a big game for someone that's never played basketball.
Never? CJ never played ball?
Man, I've been hooping, man. Steve's going to see soon, man. It's all dubs over here, man.
The Giving Flowers commented and said, man, come on, why not say Baker Mayfield for the question instead of Russell Wilson? It's because we were discussing top-tier talent.
That's got to be Baker Mayfield. That's got to be Baker Mayfield himself watching the program.
We're talking about former MVP